Scratch the 11, 12, 13, and 14. Race 4, start of a middle pick 4. Scratch the 1, Coastal Mission. Scratch the 1, Coastal Mission from today's fourth race. In race 5, start of a mandatory payout pick 5. Scratch the 10, let's get weird. Scratch the 10 in today's fifth race. Race 6 will begin the pick 6, mandatory payout in the pick 6. A 2-day pick 6 carryover of $86,079. The pick 6, nice carryover, and a mandatory payout. Starts in race number 6, and race 6 is clear. Race 7, start of a mandatory pay, late pick 5. Scratch the 3, Dancing in Denial. Scratch the 3 in race 7. Race 8, start of the late pick 4. Scratch the 2, Big Invasion. Scratch the 4, Final Verdict. Scratch the 10, Vetriano. And scratch the 11, Ridgewood Runner. Scratch the 2, 4, 10, and 11 in race 8. Race 9, no changes. In today's 10th race, race 10, scratch the 4, Champagne Surprise. Rider aboard the number 8, make the jockey Luis Rivera Jr. Scratch the 12, Virgin Colada. Scratch the 13, Broadway Lights. Scratch the 14, Mazayat. Scratch the 15, Save Us Melania. Scratch the 4, 12, 13, 14, and 15 in race 10. Race 11, scratch the 11, Kaz Farm Girl. Scratch the 14, Lady Rose. 2-day pick 6 carryover for today's racing action. That carryover number, $86,079, starts in today's 6th race. Race 6, a 2-day pick 6 carryover and a mandatory payout, with this being closing day of the Belmont at the Big A meeting here on this Sunday afternoon. All of that is coming up, and so is Talking Horses with Andy Serling and Maggie Wolfendale. It's all next, Belmont at the Big A. Good luck.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Maggie Wolfendale and Andy Sterling. We would love to sit here and talk about the Breeders' Cup 45 minutes, but that's what we've got. We've got about 45 minutes to talk about 11 races. So we're going to do these. If we have time at the end, we'll do a little Breeders' Cup talk. 111 Beyer, by the way, for the winner of the Breeders' Cup Classic. Yes.
So it makes you more remiss that Sovereignty wasn't in there.
Yeah, you wish when he did.
A little bit, but I love Forever Young, so I'm fine.
He was, you know what?
Yeah.
He was sensational in winning. He was clearly the best. I think they all ran really well in there.
I agree.
But to me, he did all of the running
in
that race.
He did.
You know, he pressured well, actually, Travis Stone said to me that was more of a bunny than a rabbit.
I know.
And
what
I told
was
him I
he
would give him
doing?
credit for that
like
comment.
the first quarter, I was like.
It wasn't even that fast. Anyway, we can talk forever. We got a lot to do. Head over to NYRA Bets, a new sign up done deliberately to
mess you up.
Yep, bonus 200. I'm going to call it
even
Spa 200,
looking.
Match 200, Bonus 200, and Cup 200 before the year is up. Bonus 200 will match for $200 of your initial deposit. We have a carryover, 86,000 and a little change, starting in race 6 of our 11 race card. And I don't know what the carryover would have had to have been yesterday for somebody to have hit it, but it would have been astronomical because it was a tough sequence to put together.
It was long shot after long shot.
The only favorite one was the last race.
Last race, exactly.
The only race where favorites managed to do their job. A $5,000 hit and split at NYRA Bets on the late pick 5. Opt in for that. We've also got a 10% exacta bonus at Del Mar. You want to opt in for that if you're playing Del Mar the day after the day. And, of course, they'll be running through Thanksgiving weekend, I'm assuming. We are in FS1 from 11:30 to 3, FS2 for 3 to 4:30, covering all the action today. And, of course, 4:30, it'll be getting dark by then. It's a sad, sad thought. Race number 1. I don't think we need to spend too much time on race number 1. We'll take a look at Standout Sensation beating Indy Label. And I was a little remiss. I meant to look up Lasix off stats for both Tom Amoss and Matt Shire, who has the 4. I meant to look them up, and I got a little tied up doing nonsensical things. I'm sorry, Maggie. I don't like to pick horses at heavy favorites, and I know you don't either, but who's going to beat this horse?
Okay, the problem with the first part of this card, it looks pretty chalky because the fastest horse, there's fastest horses and they just look like dynamics are in their favor. She looks like the lone speed in here.
And she's way faster than everybody else.
By a lot. I don't get the current second choice. I don't really like Ruth at all. She'll prove me wrong, but.
I agree. I've never quite gotten her. She's a plotter in a race where there's a lone speed.
I liked Indy Label. If I'm going to take a speed, why not take a horse that's going to be closing? But then again, she's not that slow overall. And I thought she was just, of her last 2 dirt races, I thought they were pretty good in the face and of. Not in the face of Standout Sensation, just the other horse that I wanted to use here that looked fast enough.
She should be the second choice, in my opinion, even though she's the longest shot on the board in the morning line. I agree with you. She's the other horse you could use. Race number 2. We'll start out by showing the race that Rebel Instinct and Buntis Folklora. Do we know what that means? Is that like some...
It means 1,000 words.
It's got to be some Gaelic thing.
Gaelic,
right?
Yeah, and it was like a children's book too. It's like your first 1,000 words in Gaelic.
Oh, okay, I got that. All right.
He's 1,000 words.
I'm not against Rebel Instinct. I don't have any information. I don't ask Chad Brown about his firsters too often. And if I do, they're usually Klarovich horses. It's really sort of none of my business what he thinks about other people's horses. And I just guessed with the $1.3 million firster, though. Not as that much pedigree for $1.3 million. And but these horses all ran well. I mean, I don't have a knock on any of these horses.
Going a mile, I am going to take horses that have experience every time over first-time starters. Fair. Look, Hadrian Swall does have precocity in the pedigree, as you mentioned. He is Thoughtfully's first foal. She, of course, won first time as a 2-year-old and also won the Adirondack up at Saratoga.
Todd Pletcher horse. She was a Pletcher horse.
She was? I thought she was Asmussen.
I think she was Todd. I have Todd.
No, I think you're right.
I have Todd written down.
Obviously, probably very good looking to go for that, for these connections. But I wanted horses that have experience. And while Rebel Instinct didn't take much money in that debut, he ran very well. He broke well. He tracked the pace comfortably. Then Flavien kind of took back while others were making, I'm sure, what he thought preemptive moves. And then he had to wait for room. And I thought he ran very well behind the favorite in Igniter, who had run a very fast figure first time out for Rick Dutrow and complemented that coming back and winning there. So I thought Rebel Instinct, Chad's other horse, was going to be be pretty tough in here. Nobody else was that exciting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see a lot. I thought Double Act had a pretty good trip. I watched
maybe
Concrete
Green.
Bolt's race. He didn't really do much running. You want to say, oh, he broke a little slow, and he did a little. I mean, the climbing backstretch, I think it happened. If you blink at the wrong moment, you might miss it.
And he just looked like a
did he
big,
running?
lumbering horse that, probably that was a prep to go this mile. He'll run better, but he didn't look like any superstar.
Were they flattered by the horse, the winner winning the stake yesterday?
A little bit
I
with
wonder
the
that horse
79.
just improved a little bit. And
Yeah,
with
he
a
was
little
a
more distance,
bit more
central
professional,
quality.
too. Yeah.
I've seen Chad have success with these firsters at a mile, especially
Mm-hmm.
these ones. Now, on the other hand, it usually means they're kind of a bit slow, but he had the one that won the other day, so I'm not sure I worry about it. We'll see. I don't have any idea. He may be a runner. He may be a runner. It's usually Sundays, Phillies, right?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I usually-
Yeah, and Colts
that's
for
why I
Saturday.
think
Work tab looks solid and consistent, so
All right,
yeah.
we'll move on. Race number 3. Race number 3. There are 2 Chad Browns in here. You and I have both taken every vote counts on top. I believe she's going to be extremely hard to beat.
Yeah. I mean, this was a day that, the rail was at 0 on the inner turf course up at Saratoga, especially going a flat mile. I think that always helps horses with those inside trips. And Say Yes to Dreams and My Sharona got just that. I know she was just tracking 2 to 3 wide throughout there, kind of ran evenly.
She ran well. I mean,
I
she
thought
was
she did too.
way against the track
A
in that
massive
race.
improve too from her first to second start. Obviously, there was a year in between them, but
Chad, this is one horse that he told me he thought would run a lot better, and he was right. And if they hadn't taken the rails down, I think she would have won.
Yeah,
I think she and the third place finisher for Mott would have been 1-2. In fact.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree. I think I ended up taking Cleopatra's Key in that race, but I really liked the way she looked in the paddock.
Did you pick her or My Sharona? I remember we
picked
did the
My
show,
Sharona
and you may pick her second. Maybe you picked her.
And then
no,
I
you
heard a
liked her.
really funny story that I'm not going to embarrass Ray about, but it's an embarrassing
We can
story
embarrass
about
Ray,
him.
and you're
no,
gonna not
I'm not going
do
to do it. I'm not going to do it.
This is the most disappointing
So
moment of me
it
for
made
the
me
entire year.
It made me change
Don't
my
worry,
pick.
Ray. If I have a chance to embarrass you, you can be sure I'll be using it.
So anyway, yeah.
Okay. But I remember you saying to me, I said to you, does she really have that much turf pedigree? And you said to me, she's got a ton of turf pedigree. What are you looking at? I remember this conversation
Yes,
on the
yes.
show. Celtic Motif. Let's take a look at her race at Gulfstream when she was second. As she goes from Brennan Walsh to Chad. I think this owner moved a couple of horses, right? Did he move that horse that... Does he own that horse Dublin Knight that never ran again?
I don't even remember that horse.
Yeah, you do. He won it. It was second at Gulfstream, and then he broke his maiden impressively at Keeneland, and then he hasn't run since. I thought you and I talked about him. Anyway, I know the winner of this race sort of ran off, but Celtic Motif was 4-5 coming in here off a third to grade 3, and I mean she ran okay, but then she came back. Obviously, something went wrong in the stake, and she was in over her head.
Yeah, tough race.
But I mean, I picked her second because maybe she could move forward, but there's nothing we have to go on that says she's that good.
Right.
And Brendan had her. It's not like this is some massive trainer change.
Exactly. And yeah, the problem with her is just she has no early speed. Especially, I want somebody who's going to be tactical here going the mile. Not
the
that
one.
it's like the one. That's why I have the 1 second.
Isn't the 10 potentially the speed near the time form?
Yes.
Pacemaker has her in front.
Oh, yes.
Javier's got to go,
agree.
right?
But you have the 1 hole. At least you're going to make the 10 work for it.
I would
You
think
know what
so.
I mean? And then you get the opportunity to save all the ground. So I just thought, Bourbon Milk Punch, she's shown that she is a little bit of a loser. She's 0 for 8. I get it. But I thought that, she has now had several starts for Horacio de Paz off the claim. But I just thought that she was looking better and better each time I saw her for this barn. They put the blinkers on. Maybe that change will help her a little bit. She looks a little lesser maybe than Chad's 2 in here, but I just thought dynamically Bourbon Milk Punch was sitting the right trip.
I think the Graham source is going to improve.
On the outside are very interesting. Now, she did take a lot of money, but I thought she just ran like a horse that needed that start.
I agree with you.
You
I
know,
agree.
she was coming off a considerable layoff of nearly 9 months. And, as you often say, where there's smoke, there's fire. She's going to have to get a little bit faster, I think. Third place
I think
finisher
she
did come
probably
back
will.
and win.
But she's going to have to get a lot faster, in
But now
all
she's-
likelihood, to beat. If the 7 runs her last race, she's going to have to get a lot faster.
Now she is, pairing these races back to back. I mean, there's Relevate in here for Kenny McPeak, who showed a lot of speed, at least going a mile in the dirt. So is there enough turf pedigree? I don't know.
I didn't see a lot of it.
No, neither of us used her.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I guess that you could make a case for her. She wasn't for me.
I thought she'd be a little bit more interesting if she drew better.
Yeah, she's going to have to work to get the lead, and I agree
Yeah.
with you. The one is not supposed to just hand her the lead in this race, and if she
Exactly.
doesn't, it gets a little complicated. And I also think every vote counts is going to be forward out
Yeah.
there, too. So
Yeah.
I don't think she's just going to be able to clear because nobody else is going.
Right.
Flavien tends to want to go in these spots.
Well, he gets his position.
Yeah,
you know?
he does. I mean,
he does.
he gets position going forward. It's one of the reasons he wins as much as he
Yep.
does. Race number 4, the 49er. Coastal Mission came out. We will take a look at. We're going to take a look at the Forgo, where Scotland finished second, and Bishop's Bay came up the fence. I didn't think there was anything wrong with the rail this day. I don't know if he's just bad or he didn't like running inside of horses because
That's what I thought.
I just wondered a
Although-
little. I think he's a little bit overrated. I thought he rode a big, huge bias when he won the Westchester 3
Yeah.
back. I prefer Scotland. And at the end of the day, and I looked at this race, I didn't love any of these horses. I just thought the 5 and 6 were the best horses in the race, and that's why I picked them 1,
Oh
2.
no, you're definitely probably right with that sentiment. I'm not disagreeing with you there. You made an interesting point about Scotland, though, when he ran in the Vosburg.
Yeah, I wondered if he's a little bit more in Saratoga. I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you something. I completely disagree with Andy. He dropped that figure like 8 points in the Vosburg, and I don't agree with him. I think he's wrong.
You think it's
I
more
think
like
that
a
figure's
90?
closer to a 90.
Okay.
I think he ran a little bit better, but he might be better in Saratoga. I don't really have a strong opinion, except I don't totally trust Bishop's Bay. You're going to try to win with Nelson Avenue. We'll take a look at his Park Dirt Mile.
So my thinking here is he's only had 2 dirt races for TT. One, and while he's run well in this wet tracks, very well in wet tracks of 4, TT didn't have him for that long for that first start in the Salvatore Mile. And then he goes to turf, he runs fine in the first try on it, and then not so great at weirdo Kentucky Downs. Then he comes back, and Joel did give him a great ride here with an advantageous post to get up and by Dilger and Coastal Mission, who at the end of the day probably aren't quite as good as
That's my problem.
Scotland
That's
and
my
Bishop's
problem.
Bay. I can see Scotland winning here, even though I have him third. That whole Saratoga notion kind of stuck in my mind a little bit. But I just thought that Bishop's Bay's going to possibly have to work for this a little bit harder. He seems like a horse that he runs his best races when he's forward. He's like getting the lead over Light the Way and Over an Ollie.
I agree, and it'll be interesting to see what Over and Ollie does in here. I don't think he's good enough to win this race,
Right.
but he's kind of got to go. I think Light the Way has been kind of impressive, but he's biting off a lot more in this race. I'll be honest, I kind of copped out. It's not like I didn't try to make cases for others. I just thought the 6 and 5 were better than the horses in here, and I didn't have anything clever to say.
I don't disagree with you with that, but honestly, I got to this race and got so tired of picking all the favorites that I was like, why not take a shot here with the horse that I think TT's done very well with.
I struggled with these small field stakes, some of them. Just because they're small fields doesn't make them easy races. And I don't have strong opinions in most of them, actually, as we go on to the 5th race, where, in the 5th race, they're going to make Route the heavy favorite. And Route's probably going to win. I don't agree with David. I don't agree with him. I don't believe that Vibrant Express is going to be favored over Route. I just think they're not going to be able to resist Chad Brown horse in this race, dropping down out of a maiden special weight. They don't even notice the turf. They notice the figures higher than the other ones. And you talk about Vibrant Express. What was his excuse last time?
Bled? Now gets
Oh,
Lasix.
okay. All right, maybe. I don't know. That was a terrible field.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that front. And that's probably the product of why she was favored. Excuse me. But, Route's a little suspect. Like, we are giving up on a $280,000 purchase
I'm not in love with him.
that ran on now there's the pedigree could go either way, honestly.
Yes, but they're also terrible horses. The Dam was okay, but the foals are
Terrible.
bad.
And actually ran okay on the turf. So why are we not giving another shot here? I
thought he ran like crap in there. I thought he had a perfect trip and did no running, and there's no way he's going to win a maiden special way on the turf. I thought he just had everything handed to him in that race, and he didn't. It's one of those 4th place finishes. It looks like he did some running, and he didn't really do any running.
Yeah, he just kind of ran around the racetrack.
I have to
evenly,
bet on the
but-
6 in this race, Liberty Rising.
Okay.
this horse should have been second last time. He got completely shuffled back going around
Yeah.
the turn behind a horse.
Yeah.
Took him out of the race, and he could easily have run 3-4 lengths better in there. He was never going to beat Obladi Oblada, but he definitely got taken out of that position in there and could have run better. He's got faster figs going back. I think his last race looks better than it is. I understand, and listen, to be fair, I didn't notice that he bled, so I was remiss there with Rider's Rest. I don't care. This horse opened up the lead. He was a short price in a horrendous field. And I think Liberty, I'll put it this way. If I had a chance to bet Liberty Rising in that race last time, I would have bet Liberty Rising. I might have lost, but I would have bet Liberty Rising.
I looked at Liberty Rising long and hard, and and he comes in here with a very fast workout, and a lot of times when Pat Quick does that, they usually run well. I always fall back on what do my notes say, and I have never liked this horse at all in the paddock, and that's just one of the things
Well, in this
go with.
field, I wouldn't want to split too many hairs.
No, I'm
I
not.
think Tom's horse, Hello Newman's very dangerous. I mean, I think it's a fair thing to ask Tom. Maybe you should have been running this horse in the dirt at least beforehand, because this horse has nothing but dirt pedigree. The Dam was a good horse that ran for, wasn't
It's
Sue
Charlie.
Duncan, but
Charlie Baker.
yeah,
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
think Tom
The
Bush
Dan-
maybe had this
no,
horse.
Tom Bush had so and so.
Tom Bush had so-and-so.
Absolutely was
Right.
and then
And
also
so-and-so
I
ran
have,
80-plus buyers the first few races on the dirt, the Dam.
he's also half to multiple stakes.
No,
winning
no,
Absolutely and Lightman.
I
who are dirt horses.
Right. It's Lightman. There's a lot of dirt in there, and maybe this horse worked the dirt for Tom, and he just said horse can't run on the dirt, and that's why he ran on the turf. But this horse has plenty of pedigree for dirt.
Yes.
You have something that you're not saying.
I've ridden this horse on the dirt, and I totally get why Tom has exclusively put him on the turf.
But sometimes races are different.
Right.
I didn't-
Going faster is different. I 1,000% agree with you.
Yeah, no, I assumed as much. I assumed the horse hadn't shown anything on the dirt.
Yeah.
We have 6 more to go, including the pick 6. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
The Cup is calling at the Breeders' Cup with Naira Bets. Download the Naira Bets app or sign up at nairabets.com to get a $25 free bet and $200 deposit match bonus today. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, and boost your bankroll with lucrative promotions. Play the Breeders' Cup World Championship with Naira Bets. New players sign up now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit match only with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Maggie and Andy. Race number 6 kicks off the pick 6, carryover 86,000 and change. And, I wish this race was as simple as concurrently ran behind a horse that's running back, I guess, in the Tempted. Unfortunately, next week's, we can't see Believable. First, or didn't take any money that ran well.
She
And
was
we'll show
game.
concurrently's race. And, I mean, I have no argument that she's the horse to beat.
Yep.
I just felt like she should have won. I know she lost a ridiculous head bob in this race.
Right.
But she looked like she was going right by that horse, and she did hang a little bit.
I just thought there were more interesting horses in here than, could she beat me? Absolutely. But I agree. The thing I'll say to her credit is this was a very kind of strung out field. You know what I mean? I felt like the top 2 really ran well. And yes, she probably should have come. But like you said,
She lost a ridiculous head bob. I mean, it was a
I
hard
wish we
loss
knew
to
what
take.
Believable really was.
I agree. That's my
To
problem.
have more evidence of how good she is. But at least she has the experience going longer. So, no, I'm not going to be surprised when she wins. But who did you go to? The 8, Irresistible?
I'll let you talk about your horse, though, because I think your horse is interesting, too.
There's no argument that we know she comes out of the bus best race,
She does.
relatively speaking.
She does.
And she got steadied back at the start.
Well, she got slammed by the 5-horse.
Exactly.
Just crushed her after the break.
Right. And then she rushed up on the rail. She took a lot of kickback that day, running up into what was, a solid pace, kind of more forwardly dominated overall. That ridiculous Rudy Brissett horse was favored, Vajra. So I just, looking at my notes, I thought she was incredibly good looking, despite having her tail completely missing. Anyway, but actually looked pretty fit. I don't know why I felt like I needed to throw that in, but looked pretty fit for Michelle Nevin and was a really good mover. And Michelle's horses do need starts, education-wise, fitness-wise.
I think the horse is not
there's
the
a
worst
lot.
long shot in the race. I don't disagree. I have got the horse fourth. I could see it.
Has a lovely pedigree at the end of the day. This, homebred for Samantha Siegel, as she typically does.
I thought Irresistible ran well. She broke a length slow in that race. She kind of brushed the gate a little bit in there. She made a big wide move in the middle. It was a race dominated on the front end.
Are you worried at all about the poor performance of Miss Sophistication coming back as a heavy favorite?
Yeah. I mean, I always am. But on the other hand,
Sure.
she was a first-time starter, ran a 74 buyer, and ran hard, and she regressed and ran a 58. We see it from a lot of 2-year-old fillies that run well. They come back and don't run as well. I don't disagree with that, and it bothered me a little bit. But I thought she ran pretty well in that race, to be honest.
She didn't have much speed. Totally took the overland route and
I thought
stayed
more
on well.
distance will be okay for her.
Absolutely.
And thought she was interesting. I wanted to make a case for Baffle. I had liked Baffle here a couple of weeks ago, but was a vet scratch in that race, and that kind of bothered me a little bit.
I agree. I mean, Sassy CW was the fastest 2-year-old in the land early on when there aren't many 2-year-olds running. She would win 2 stakes thereafter. She just looked totally run off her feet going the 4.5. And obviously, well, it's Todd, and he's usually able to get these horses to stretch out. There really isn't that much pedigree to suggest, though, that longer's better. She didn't look like she was a big filly.
She was entered at 6 or 6.5 last time.
Right.
I think it was shorter. Yeah,
Right.
I put her in because I had liked her a little bit that day, and I didn't want to completely dismiss her, but a different kind of spot, and I thought this was
Exactly.
tougher, especially going a mile, but I did think her first start was at least a little bit interesting as we'll move on to race number 7, the Red Smith, and I thought this race was extremely tough, and it got tougher when Fleetfoot, who finished behind Ethical Diamond, the
And
jumper that won the
Convergence
stake.
came back and won a Group 2 in France.
What I'm annoyed about is, okay, I don't know why we're showing limited
this?
liability because
Oh.
we're talking about a different horse, but Eddie's obviously paying attention to something else. This is limited liability who I picked. We can talk about him in a second.
I did too.
I'm mad at myself for not looking up the 2-mile John Forbes while people were down at Far Hills.
I
Because
know.
if I had looked up this horse, when I looked him up last night, I'm like, how the hell did this horse pay almost $6 in a 2-mile race at Far Hills? He should have paid $2.10. I mean, he lost, as you say, to a horse that came back
Yeah.
and won the group race. He was second to Group 3. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But he's now coming back just 2 weeks later, 15 days later, after running 2+ miles down at Far Hills, a little demanding. It's his second start coming from Europe. A lot of times they don't run quite as well their second time in the country. And I just feel like he can win, but the last time was the time horse.
Definitely gets the lightest weight assignment he's ever had in his entire career. But
There's a lot of things to like about him.
No, there is, and I think he's a fascinating horse. I'm really excited to see what he does, but I think, like you, I wanted the proven horse at this type of distance, at this type of configuration, who has the back form, I thought was compromised in his last race. Talking about limited liability.
We'll take a look at it. Now we can
Yeah.
show it, Eddie, if you want.
Sorry, Eddie.
This is last year in this race. I think limited liability is going to benefit from finally getting a different rider, frankly,
Yeah.
because this is a horse that, not in every race, but there have been a few races where he did not get the best of rides.
Last one was pretty bad.
Yeah, and last year he also lost to Interpretation, who is good. It's just better than he is. There is an argument that his form has fallen off a little bit, but he
A
lost
little
to
bit.
Kentucky Downs. I know he won it last year, but he lost to Kentucky Downs. In the UN, he chased outside against a gold rail,
Exactly.
so he had a viable excuse.
Yep.
I think he's supposed to be very tough to beat here.
I think he is too. I mean, and it's not like he's a horse at this distance is like totally devoid of speed. Like he's
No.
tactical enough. I just think he's the most well suited, and arguably, I don't know if he, meets the least talented field that he has met. There's some decent horses in here, but I just felt like as far as consistent at this level, at this distance, he's the horse.
I agree, and it'll be interesting to see what price. David's got them all the same price, so
How
it's
could he
hard.
not?
And Cugino, listen, I have a lot of love for Cugino, and he's going to try to wire the field, and it's probably a shrewd move by Chug. Chug stretching him out in this spot where he can use his speed, and I've always liked him. I'm just not 100% convinced he wants a mile and 3/8.
He's run well at a mile and an eighth.
Yeah. It's a big
So
difference.
I thought it is. It is. I'm not going to disagree
And I'm not
with you
thinking
with
his
that.
Nashville Derby. I don't really think that's proof positive. He doesn't want to go farther because that's a ridiculous race.
It is an absolute ridiculous race, but we'll see how far they can do. What's the rail settings?
I don't think we're off the rail. I don't know. 18.
18.
I think
okay.
the outer's going to 0 on Thursday, but the inner's going to 27.
Okay.
I think it's the outer
Yeah, I
that's
thought
going to
they-
0. One of them's going to 0. I think
Yeah.
it's the outer. What about Desvio? We'll look at the Sycamore. I mean,
His
obviously.
last race was great, but Johnny gave him a peach of a ride.
And he was 34-1 in this
Yeah.
day, and he's going to be a fraction of that today. On the other hand, it's a smaller field. The problem is it's the only good race he's run.
Yeah, and I look, and there's a common horse in here in Utah Beach who, kind of like limited liability, runs well consistently in these spots, and he was able to beat him here.
This
Johnny,
last race was legit. I'm not knocking this race.
no,
Where'd
and
it come from?
Well, as
Good ride or
Madison,
not.
Madison has said, he's a horse that. Obviously, I think, maybe a little give in the ground helps him, but you're bound to kind of get that at this time of year anyway. And she's like, he just has finally put it together. He was a bit sour in some of those races and not training as well, and it really feels like he's hit his stride. I talked to
Ran well
her
last time.
literally the day after. She was back in Maryland when I was down there. So he did run well. I want to see it again.
Yeah, he was 34-1 last time.
Exactly.
All right, we will move on to race number 8. And so Nothing Better is chosen to run here instead of yesterday. And he does figure to be the speed. We'll look at him. I just am afraid he's just not the same horse that he was.
That's a fair assessment. I've used him defensively here because this is one of his, softer spots that we have seen him in, and have had to have him. He's run well. Whitty's a venerable, and that have to not Caravaggio. Caravel. Thank you. And he's just run well at times against some of the best turf sprinters that we've seen. So I think that this is a spot where he could be advantageous. It's kind of like a spot where there's some included. Oh, he's scratching.
Well, the 4 scratching makes it easier for him. Though I was going to pick the race 1-5, but when they scratched the 4 and took some speed out, I moved it. I was between the 1 and 5 for my top picks, and I'm not sure the step forward is going to be 7-2 in this race. He's going to have to improve. But he is going to Mike Maker. I like the trainer switch to a trainer that's been winning, and I also believe he moves forward with Flavia, and he's the one who's going to be sitting second in this race.
Yeah.
And I want the one sitting second more than Ice Chocolate, who I do like in here, but I think with the scratches, it gives the 5. If I was sort of, between the two of them, I'll go to the one that's going to benefit from the way the pace is going to play out more in the 5-step forward. They're the two I want. Didn't Live High, Live Low, who sort of
got the
couldn't
best.
lose last time, beat a
Awesome.
soft field with a perfect trip.
Yeah. I just thought that 2 back in too tough. And I've just been a little bit of a fan of this horse. If you isolate his turf sprints, they're definitely his best body
Why I
of
thought he
work.
couldn't lose last time.
3 back, he had that horrible trip at Laurel. And, before that, he had run well in those 2 turf sprints here at Aqueduct. So I just thought maybe later 4-year-old getting better at the right time for a trainer who wins these races.
Okay. No, I thought Ice Chocolate was a little interesting. I mentioned that
He is
horse.
interesting.
I think he's got some ability going longer. I also thought there might be more give in the ground, and he appears to like yielding turf. I don't think there's much give in the ground.
And I think he was pressing the pace too wide last time the entire way around. There were the top 2 finishers, one being the favorite and Awesome Bourbon, came up the rail, rapid test, same thing, following the winner, and he came back and won with an 88. So he met good horses, I think, respective to Canada, who got better trips than he did last time.
Yes, I agree with that. And he's switching from an apprentice to Kendrick.
Right.
Yep, I agree. 1s and 5s for me. You like the number 8, Live High, Live Low, will be a much better price. Race number 9, the Bold Ruler. So we had some video of Bold Ruler on the show today. I thought that was pretty cool, actually.
That is cool.
Let's take a look at Bucciarino, Full Moon Madness, and Damon's Mound. I know that You know, I'm not going to say Bucciarino wasn't best because I think he was best.
He was absolutely best last time.
But I think Fumu Mattis is the one I want out of that
Correct.
race. He's just run too many races that are better, and I like him coming back to New York.
I do too. I thought he looked excellent down at Parks, which sometimes I'm a little bit critical of him. And I actually think I picked him this day because I thought the pace would be contested, which it was, which that's why I give Bucciarino extra credit points. I will say this, you know, Bucciarino came back into the winner's circle and he had grabbed his quarter really badly. So I'm actually kind of surprised to see him back in this
6
spot
weeks.
this quickly. It is 6 weeks, and obviously they wouldn't be running if it was an issue. But just something to think about. He's a really cool horse at the end of the day. He's batting 500.
No,
which isn't easy to do.
I have no problem. So I think Subrogate is the other horse. And
He is
I'm not sure. I tell you what, I think he'll be a shorter price than Nutella Fella, but we'll get to Nutella Fella in a second.
I was really surprised about the 4-1 on.
Yeah, I don't know who's betting him, but we'll get to him in a second. This is him last time. No, this is him.
This isn't him. Who is this?
This is him winning.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's Subrogate?
No,
that's not
Monmouth.
Subrogate.
That's Monmouth. And the race at Laurel, so they sent the wrong race. So make sure we don't show that in the show
Yeah.
later today either. I don't know. What
I
the
was
hell
like,
that is. That's
Subrogate
Monmouth.
has a very patented running style. I was
Right.
like, none of those
He's
horses
also running
are
at Laurel, not at Monmouth, so
Correct.
that would help. And I definitely sent Laurel. I found a stat: 60 to 180-day layoffs in dirt sprints. 0 for 28.
Wow.
12 hit the board, but 0 for
My man
28.
Duarte.
0 for 28. Honestly, that's what took me off him. layoff.
He also runs the entirety of his races, and it works for him. It is what he's always done on his inside lead. From gate to wire, he stays on his inside lead, and that's why he lugs in.
And he's
like
also never going to get back to that 106 buyer.
No,
He got very
that
good
was-
for 10 minutes there
Correct.
in June of 2024, and he's basically a high 80s horse. And I don't know if he was good enough.
And his races with Lasix are better.
I know Nutella Fella has the big fig running fourth in the True North. I wouldn't want to hold up that figure to a ton of scrutiny for those horses going forward based on their next few races. I know he's run to Woody Stevens. He got a super fast pace. Do we really think he's going to get this wild fast pace to close into that he needs here? I don't see him at all, but I've never
If
gotten
it was
this
a
horse.
he could get a wild fast pace in here, but he's getting one supplied by pretty good horses that aren't going to just back up for him.
Yeah.
And furthermore, I feel like he's a little bit of a Saratoga type.
It's also,
His
yeah,
best
that's
races
fair.
come at Saratoga.
That's fair. He's also a little bit of a horse that never shows up, and we think he's going to just sort of pounce on the scene and beat this isn't a killer field, but these are pretty good hardened veterans in this race.
Exactly.
And, Damon's Mound is no slouch, and I think Damon's Mound draws very well on the outside. You know what's amazing was watching that distaff with Junior? Junior didn't send Scylla. She dragged him to the front.
She dragged him to the front. I thought she would be a pace present. Obviously, with Seismic Beauty, the start was just
Well, she
horrific.
she broke okay. She had a mild, really? I thought she had a mild bobble after it, and she was atrocious.
Well, she must have done something to herself.
Well, she may have,
Yeah.
but I didn't think the start was that bad. I mean, watch it. She breaks okay, and then she has a quick little bobble after the start.
I know, but it
Something may have gone wrong with her.
Yeah.
She ran so badly, but
Yeah.
But doesn't matter. She was never beating Scylla. She
Nope.
wasn't going to be in front
Tour
of
de
her
force,
in
yeah. Mm-hmm.
the early part, and she wasn't going to be in front of her in the late part.
Yep.
All right, we'll move on. Race number 10. God, I'm exhausted already. So.
would you like to do my day?
No, I wouldn't. I couldn't if I wanted to, and I don't. Growth Trajectory, this is her winning her maiden race. I will say that she was against the track in her next start at Monmouth. She was out in the middle of the track. He wanted to be inside. She obviously didn't run well. I just didn't want to pick her on top at a short price.
She seemed, like she got a bit rattled by having the one race and then coming back. She had to, participate without Lasix, which obviously Lasix will calm a
that's
horse.
fair.
She was acting up in the gate for that Boiling Springs. She was on the far outside. So then she kind of drags her rider to the front while 3 wide. He's fighting her. Never wins
Just
races.
the wrong trip.
Just never wins
She's the horse to
races.
beat. I don't have a problem. But you're taking the odd maker horse going back to the turf, and I agree with you. I think she's very dangerous.
Yeah. There's been some turf winners. And if you look at her lone turf start, which was a sprint,
She ran fine.
excuse me, as a 2-year-old, she ran fine. Her numbers have gotten faster on the dirt,
She's
going
after
longer.
3 turf winners. I know it's not a huge turf-looking pedigree, but
A
she's after
stakes
3
winner
turf winners.
as,
Yeah.
on top of that as well. So, yeah, why not?
Yeah, no, I saw the same things you
know?
did, and I put her third. I got nothing against her at all. I just have to pick Thien, and I know Thien looks like a horse that probably wants to go shorter, and she may, but this is only a mile. Thien, I think she's a tricky horse to ride, but obviously she got a disastrous trip in her last start. If anybody wants to go back and watch the
Yes.
replay, she should have won that race.
Yeah.
But whatever happened. And listen, she's won at 7 furlongs over at Longchamp. If she can win at 7 furlongs at Longchamp,
There.
she can win at a mile here. And she had this ridiculous trip. I had a thing for her. I prefer to bet her in a sprinting situation, but I'm going to take a shot at her at a big price in here. I have nothing against the 3 and 5. I think they're the right 2 horses in there. I don't like Toes, who got that ridiculously good
Dream
trip last
trip,
time. I don't see
yeah.
how she can win. And Lying by Omission gets in, a horse that you have third and I have fourth, and she seems okay.
She, and I just thought she's run against some good horses early on in her career. There's definitely a chance that she is faster than those 3 first races.
Yeah, I don't want to worry about Tampa figures in the turf. They often
Also
seem to
that
get
too.
a lot higher
Yeah.
when they get out of town.
Yeah.
So she's in there for me as well. Race number 11. This is it. We're finally done. What are you doing in here?
I went with a 9.
Here's the
I
last
just-
race of Greyjoy,
honestly, this is
unless it's
just-
from Monmouth. Is it from Monmouth, Eddie? No, that looks like Aqueduct. Is Eddie?
Yeah, maybe Andy. I just got to this race and said, well, "Whatever, I'm just gonna pick."
No,
the
I mean, this
logical
is the horse to
horse."
beat. I don't know.
Yeah, she's just the logical horse. Are there kind of other more interesting ones? Look, I like Ricardo getting on the 7 in here, who I didn't, or who I have second. Excuse me, I actually rearranged things.
I agree.
Is that,
This
is that
horse
the
ducked in badly to the
Yeah.
rail at the start. My Lil Army Girl, the 7
Yeah.
horse in this race, and I thought ran fine. I agree. And I've got her fourth because I was interested in some other horses.
There's some pedigrees. The 6 who you put on top here, no need to panic. McKinsey,
I
I'm
know,
not sure about.
great,
but,
not great. I agree. Don't love that.
But there have been 3 turf sprint winners,
Yep.
including Not Far Now.
The Dam was solid as well in the
She
turf
was,
also.
too.
There's plenty of turf pedigree on a horse that's going to be a fair enough price in this race, that ran a very tough maiden race first time out in the dirt. So either this horse was unmistaken, the 3.
Half
It's a
to
half to
Mr.
2 turf
Tonic.
winners.
And combatants are good on the turf. They're just not great first time out.
Well,
so
you're
far
the
in this
expert
freshman
because your husband loves combatants.
I will say my husband's excited to get Italian on the turf. Half to Freudian.
I looked at this horse a little bit. I wish she did a little running in that first race, but I didn't think, obviously, first time turf. As far as I'm mistaken, whatever. Kerry Bryan is 0 for 7 with 2-year-old first time stars in turf sprints with 1 hitting the board. Not really something, but it's a small sample size, and this horse has a lot of pedigree, so I don't want to get caught up in the stat on 0 for
How
7.
much money is Tuttletown going to take? She was favored first time out.
Yeah, you've got her fourth. I looked at her a lot. She probably is going to take a lot of money. She's got Flavian. What am I supposed to like about her? I'm not saying,
Apparently, there was something people liked first time out.
no doubt. There seemed to be a lot of Rudy Brissett. Oh, I had the story. I heard that they loved this horse. Well, she
She
was
is
bad.
quick. She'll probably be quick. Blinkers on, had a bit of early speed, and that's probably why she took the money. But
Here's
there's
the-
not
here-
an abundance of
here's
turf
the
pedigree.
issue.
They're okay on it.
They're immediately giving
pretty
up on
slow.
the dirt. They're immediately giving up as a dirt
Yeah.
horse. So now they're saying turf horse. Well, there's just more interesting horses at probably
Right.
better
Better
prices than
prices.
she is in this race. So she's 7-2 morning line favorite. I don't need her as the favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, a lot of horses could win this race. I think there's a very good chance that we won't be close to getting the winner of this race.
No,
but
right.
I don't need to take her as the at 7-2
Gosh,
favorite
no.
with
That's
Flavian.
exactly how I
just
saw
like
it.
you know,
Yeah.
and, so we'll see what happens. Okay, we've got a couple of minutes. Breeders' Cups.
Yeah.
Quickly, your take on the Classic.
I thought Forever Young, last year we saw him kind of, his rider made him go from that inside post position. It was a hotter pace, and so he got a little bit tired. But then once he swung him out, he actually ran on again. And this year, it was almost the same scenario. He's just a bigger, better horse. And it was good to see him kind of get a little bit of redemption over what happened in the Kentucky Derby. So And I applaud the connections for sticking to their guns and
I thought-
preparing him the right way.
Did all the running,
Did.
He got the weird middle move from Mind Frame,
Yeah.
forced him even farther in there. I mean,
Exactly.
I think the only excuse you make for Forever Young, but not Forever Young, for Sierra Leone, it's a rough excuse to make because he's a deep closer, is the track profile was not exactly favorable to horses with his running style.
And
so
I
if you
thought-
want to give him an excuse, that's it. The problem is that's who Sierra Leone is. So you can't just have every excuse. Well, the track played against him and the pace, and so I think he ran very well. And there is a circumstance where he could have won the race, but I'm not sure, even if he had won the race, that I wouldn't have thought Forever Young did more running.
Right. And I think that he was also a little more taken out of his element, comparing this year to last year because it was a slower pace. It was a more compact field. So, he didn't get that big burst down the lane.
Yeah.
It was just kind of that steady grind that he had to put in.
And I've heard a lot of talk about fierceness that I think that fierceness apparently is judged by his fans differently than other horses. I wish every horse I bet on got as good a trip as fierceness got. Johnny got him off the fence in the backstretch.
Yeah.
When the rabbit went backwards, the bunny went backwards, he was never in his way. Now, yes, he got caught a little behind horse coming the stretch, but that was Mind Frame's fault. That wasn't the rabbit's. That had nothing to do with the rabbit because the rabbit was somewhere, I think he was at Santa Anita by the time they hit the top of the stretch. So he did lose the stretch battle, though, for last. But he didn't finish last, but he lost by half length. And then, at the end of the day, okay, so Johnny had to stay inside. But he saved all the ground on a track where the rail was good. He got him out in plenty of time before the 8th pole. He had dead aim on the winner, plenty of time to go by him, couldn't get by him, and got passed by Sierra Leone. I think they ran 1, 2, 3 in the order of the races they ran. I don't think Fierces ran badly. I think he was third best. Not by a lot, but he was third best.
No, that's the way I saw it too.
Yeah, I don't.
And a lot of people saying, "Oh, he doesn't like kickback." Well, Johnny had him in a position where he wasn't getting kickback in his face. He was just getting it on his chest a bit. It was like
It's a 4-year-old making his 20th start.
He
Enough
should
of this
be-
kickback crap.
I'm just saying what people say
He's
about him.
It's like we're going to treat him like it's like with fierceness. Everything doesn't go, if he doesn't get a nice, comfy 3-wide trip
He
in the
was just
clear
third
on a
best.
moderate pace,
He was
then
just third
he ran really well. It was
He
a
did.
very good field. But I don't want to hear this nonsense that he was somehow compromised in there.
Forever Young was best,
yeah.
and that's the end of the story.
I completely agree with you. Ben Tornado, I think he got a 110 buyer. Yeah, I'm sorry he didn't run more this year. 'Cause
I know
he's good.
he is very good, and Jose D'Angelo, running back to back.
What happened to speed of the? What happened to bring the band home? Not that I liked him, but
I think he's a Saratoga horse.
was he
I
in
feel like I've
Saratoga when
said-
they started the race? Because how did he have no speed?
I don't know. That was a short price on a horse that I was
Well,
completely
because she
off
couldn't
my
get
radar.
the lead. I can't believe she made. I mean, listen, you saw the first quarter. You wish you better at 5-1.
Yeah.
As soon as the first quarter was run, I thought, well, this race is completely over.
Right.
I mean, she's a nice horse, and that was going. I do
Yeah.
like the fact that she ended the fake Kentucky Downs jinx. She's the first horse to win a race. I think it was like 0 for 39 or something
Oh,
of horses
wow.
that made their last start at Kentucky
Kentucky
Downs. Going to
Downs.
that, I don't know if you know, is why Cogburn lost last year. If he hadn't run at Kentucky Downs, he'd been a Breeders' Cup champion. We got to go. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Naira Bets. I have no idea what it is. Bonus 200.
There you go.
There it
Didn't
is.
mess
They
it
should
up.
change it like twice a day just to screw me up. Bonus 200 will match the $200 of your initial deposit. We've got an $86,000 and $79, $79. And it's a mandatory giveaway. Hang on a
You
second.
mean payout?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
almost sure that today is mandatory
'cause it's the
payouts on
last day.
everything today.
Yeah.
So this is a mandatory payout. Is there any way we can update that slate,
Eddie?
Eduardo? Yeah, because it is a mandatory payout.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be paid today. So even if we get incredible results like yesterday, well, I liked her too. I just didn't see that price.
Lisa's horse?
How is that horse 17
I
to
don't
1
know.
yesterday?
No idea.
I thought it was a 2-horse race. I never imagined that there'd be
I
such
thought
a
maybe he'd
gap
be
in prices.
10 to 1.
Yeah, maybe I probably should have. I should have seen she'd be a bigger price. I
Yeah.
didn't think she could be almost 20 to 1. Anyway, what else do we have? Hidden split, $5,000 on the late pick 5 at Belmont. Belmont at the Big A, excuse me, the last Belmont at the Big A. Ever? No, next spring we'll have it too.
Yeah.
10% exacta bonus at Del Mar. If you're playing Del Mar, opt in for that as well. And we are on from 11:30 to 4:30, the first 3.5 hours on FS1, the last hour and a half on FS2, covering all the action. Mandatory payout, pick six carryover, 11 race card, lots of fun, lots of stakes.
Yeah.
Maggie, thank you. Thank you for watching. And a pre-thank you to Chris Griffin for calling today's 11 races. He's got a reprise of the Scratches and Changes in just a few moments.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit